Welcome back to the channel. The channel's called I Just Fix It Myself. Usually it's cars, trucks, any kind of mechanical car or truck, automotive issues. But, you know, sometimes these things fail as well. What we're talking about now is we're talking about it's called analog stick drift. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this thing apart and we're going to fix it's actually this one right here that has the drift. So when it's in the center, it'll drift this way as far as if you're using a first-person shooter game, something like that. When you're aiming, it'll just track to the right. It'll track to the right without you touching it. So first thing we have to do, now be careful because I have this button here, this button here. These sometimes come loose. And this reset button right here sometimes comes loose. What we're going to need to do is take these 4 screws out first. So go ahead and do that. So as you can see, I've taken all 4 screws out. What I'll do now is separate the case. So as you can see right here, this is a separation point. So what we're going to do is we're going to force our fingernail in here. Force our fingernail in here. Don't use a screwdriver or something like that. There you go. I pinched it, and when you pinch it, it separates. So do this. Go here, pinch this, pinch it hard, and it separates just a little bit. You see that? You pinch it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this loose, and what's going to happen, you're going to be careful. It's held on by these little clips inside here, so you do have to put a little bit of effort. But what's going to happen is this could separate, so we're going to watch that. We're going to be careful. I'm just going to be careful. There it goes. See that? There's one side, and here's the other. Just be careful. And in the process, what's going to probably happen is this button and the reset button will come out. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch. Now see what's happening here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to push this button. We're going to push this button as we lift it off. Now, but before we lift it off, the reason why I was so careful is there's a ribbon cord inside here. You see that white ribbon cord? It's right in there. You can see it. And what's going to happen is if I pull too hard, it can kink in there and cause it to malfunction. So I'm just going to wiggle. I'm going to wiggle. This one came loose. This side came loose just by moving it around. All right. Push this down. That one connected again. Okay. All right, let's get this one down. Let's see here. It might have to pop off. All right, so the best thing to do is to just kind of work with it gently until it comes off. Because right now it looks like it's going to try to give me an issue. So I don't want to be rough with it. I don't want to do anything like that. Here we go. Move it that way. See, it came loose. Okay. Now inside there's that cable. All right, but you see that little blue tab? We're gonna pull that blue tab. Careful. And also, you see this? Don't lose that little spring. We're gonna get that back. We're gonna get that back in. blue cable. See how the blue cable just pulls right out? Be gentle with it. All right, so inside here, you have this little guy. It's okay. We'll get that back in there. Just for now, take it out. Well, we'll set it aside for now. Just don't lose that little piece. Just set it aside over here somewhere. We're not going to need that. Now, next thing we have to do, in order to get these out of here, we have to take the battery out. Okay. And the battery has glue. There's glue underneath. It's a little piece of glue. This one doesn't have it. That's okay. So gently pull it out of here. Now right here, you see how there's two little, on this white piece, there's two little raised areas like a pyramid. Get your fingernails in there and pop it out. All right, good. Pop that out. Now, here, what we have here, we have this little tray, and I believe this just pops right off. But if you look at this little guy, it's connected, but sometimes it will disconnect itself. So go ahead and pull gently on this. It's been held in by these tabs. There's a tab here. What I'll do is I'll just pop this tab back and see how that's easy. I'm also going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll pop the tab back. Hopefully it doesn't make the other one pop out again. All right, simple as that. Set that aside. Next, what holds on this board is two things. It's this screw right here, and we have to pull this out. Pull this out because we're going to be removing this board. So be gentle. Actually, this is a different type of connector. You see the black thing? The black thing pulls back. It's so what you do is you grab your fingernail. Actually, I'm going to do it with a. Be careful prodding these types of items inside here because the traces. You got to be careful with the traces. So anyway, pull this back. And did you see how that pulled back? Once that pulls back, it should be easy to grab this little blue thing and pull it right out. And just like that, pull it right out. All right, go ahead and place this black thing back because you don't want to ever break that piece off, because then how are you going to get another piece like that? So be careful with that. All right, use a micro screwdriver to get this one off. Be very careful. Take it really slow because you don't want to jab the screwdriver onto the board at all. All right, let that go. Don't mix it up with the other screws. They seem to be the same, but they could be slightly different. You see that? These are pieces of plastic that came loose out of the controller. I mean, it's not going to be mint once you take this off. Okay, so be careful. Be careful here. We're going to pull this out. Pull it out, and what's going to happen is you're pulling the entire piece out. Okay, so now look. Now you have it. So what you got to be careful, but you need to pull these off. Pull them off, straight off. Kind of wiggle and pull them straight off. Set them aside. And as you can see, inside this, you see that big piece of hair right there? That could cause issues if it gets inside. But you see there's little pieces of hair stuck inside there. Get those out. Get those out. I got that one out. I got that one out. Actually, I'm going to blow this out. This could be the problem. But what we're going to do is, since we have it in here, let me reorient this. Is this... No, this is our problem side right here. This is the one we want to fix. So what we have to do is inside this green thing are these little channels that a metal piece goes through. It's kind of like a resistor. It's a variable resistor. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to pry this down. We're going to pry it down gently, because the reason why gently is you see those three, you see these three silver things right here? That's where it's connected to the board back here. It's soldered on right here, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to separate the green from the silver, and we're going to pry it back just a little bit. And in doing so, we can harm it, so we have to be careful. Here we go. This is what we'll do. We're going to pry the edge of this, pry the top edge open. Do you see how it kind of moved there a little bit? All right. Then we're going to pry this side. Remember, we're going to be very, very careful. Okay, now that we have it kind of pried back, what I'll do is get in there. Gotta get in there with this. Kind of pry it open just a little bit. You see that? Okay, we've pried it just a tiny bit. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna finish opening it until it barely clicks. Okay. Now you see that in there? You see that? Okay. We're gonna have to take that white piece out. It's this white piece right here, and I'm gonna show you as soon as I get a pair of tweezers. Found my tweezers. Be extremely gentle with this piece. What you'll do is you'll pop it out. Okay, and you gotta be extremely gentle with that. Now you don't want to mess with this too much, but the orientation when we put it back in will be the 2 white dots. Oops. Okay, so the 2 white dots will be on the bottom of the board. Okay, so as you can see, I don't know if you can see that. No, it's hard to see that. Oh, there we go. On there's these little micro pieces of metal, and they go in a track inside here. What we'll do now, we're going to set this aside. It's extremely fragile. Do you see those little pieces of metal? Extremely fragile. We'll set that aside. I'm going to set it right here so you can see it. Okay, it's okay. Now what we'll do is we're going to take a Q-tip and place a little bit of isopropyl alcohol on it, just a tiny bit, and watch, observe. See how this is completely clean? When I clean this black piece in here, I'm going to clean this black piece. I'm going to be extremely careful not to damage anything, but I'm cleaning that black piece inside there because that's where that metal ring goes. Okay. Now it's just a hair bit of dirty, but do you see how there's all those little bits of hairs? Looks like cotton hairs. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to inspect the inside with a magnifying glass before I'm done. But I'm making sure that I get it nice and clean in there. And I want to make sure I get all the little hairs out of there. Okay, let's see if we can see this. Well, I'm gonna look myself, so I don't see any hairs in there. All right, so as it's drying, we're gonna let it dry. I want to place it in there while it's wet. But what I want you to see is this is the orientation we're gonna place it in. The two dots are going to go down. Okay. Okay, here we go. So we're going to drop it in the hole. I'll show you. Making sure that the 2 dots are down. I'm going to place it into the hole. Okay, once it's dropped in the hole, I'm going to use this to push it in. Be careful. Okay, I wasn't holding it. All right, so it's cocked to the side a little bit. All right, we're going to turn it. We're going to place it where it needs to go. Give it a gentle pressure. Ooh, too much. What you want is you want it to go right in its spot. There's a nice little click. But as you can see, it's not lined up. So all you have to do is be very careful, but turn. Well, you can't see that. Turn it until it lines up perfectly straight so that this piece right here, this plastic piece, can go in the hole. All right, once you know that it's good, what I want you to do is push it on again. Push it on again. As it lines up, it will click. Okay, so that side is clean. Let's try the other side. I'm gonna pry this top loose. Okay, see how I did that? I pried it loose just a little bit, and I'm gonna pry the other side loose as well. Once I'm done with that, then I am able to pull it. So delicate. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna pull that loose. Okay. Very carefully doing this. Sometimes what can happen when you're in here is these little wires can get separated from the motherboard thing. So what I usually have is a soldering kit to help with that sort of thing if it happens. Okay, I'm placing that aside. Now I'm going to clean inside there again. This time with a clean Q-tip, not the other one. Okay, it's a clean Q-tip. It has a little bit of alcohol in it. Okay, getting it in there. I don't know if you can see there's a little discoloration, just a little bit. It's not too bad. But as I'm playing the game, I know there's issues. So there's that. All right, I'm gonna let it dry out a little bit, and I'm gonna place it back where it goes. And as I'm waiting, I'll just take all these little bits of hair out of here because they're gonna make it in there. Whoever had this had a dog. See that? I found little bits of hair that can make it inside. Looking around, it looks pretty good. I mean, it's not destroyed. It looks like it was in a clean house. All right, good enough. So let's drop this back in the hole. Be careful to make sure that the two dots are going to go down. Okay. All right, once it's almost in there, we will align it perfectly. Last time it made a click. This time, I don't think it made a click, but that's okay. It's lined up. If you look at it, it's lined up. It's ready to go. So what I'll do is I will put it on there just like that. Okay, it has clicked in place. Okay, so before we put it back together, let's blow it out. Best thing to do is use that air can, whatever it is. Okay. Now, before we place this back in there, because I have to flip it, and I have to put these these things back in there. All right. What I'm gonna do is check this. Okay, it's gonna go like that. All right, so watch this. The last one had a little, you see how that's a imperfection? Well, I don't want that to be where I usually put my thumb, so I'm gonna make the imperfection oriented up instead. When you place these on, there's two ways they can go. They can go this way or 180 degrees. They can't go sideways, so you have to look. These are shaped like an oval, and these are shaped like an oval, so line it up. Once you line it up, push it. Be careful. And this side didn't have any imperfections, so I'm just going to put it where it goes. But I'm going to line up the little oval and ease it on there. I'm pushing it on there. Okay, perfect. Now, all we have to do is line it up. Be careful, because you see that blue? See that blue? The blue cable? What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab that blue bit right there. Well, make sure we don't trap it underneath. That's all. All right. So to keep everything in order, let's place this screw back right now. Careful. Put it there. Now you want to use the right equipment. If you don't have a precision screwdriver set, go to Harbor Freight Tools or something like that and get yourself a precision screwdriver set. Don't be trying to attempt these repairs if you don't have a way to install and remove these things, okay? All right, so we're going to connect the ribbon cable again. Do you remember I had to lift up this little black thing? So I'm going to lift it up again using my fingernail, and it opens right up. There's a black mark here. What we need to do is line it up. Put it in there and then line it up. Okay, we gotta be careful. All right, once it's in there, line it up straight. Then you fold it down. Fold down and it locks. All right, and as you can see where it's locked is the black line. It tells you it's seated properly. All right, so the other ribbon cable will go here and the battery will go here, but we're not done. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this button out of here. We're gonna get the button out of here and we're gonna place it where it goes, okay? And we're gonna make sure before we do all that, we're gonna make sure that we didn't lose our options button or our share button. And it's right there where we left it, perfect. So I'm gonna kind of wiggle this out. There's a way to get it out. Let's see. Ooh, there, ooh, see that? Okay, so the spring is unidirectional, which means it can go any way. So I'll just set that right here for now. Figure out what is wrong, if anything. I don't want to force anything. It just needed to move out just enough. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this back in its carrier, and it snaps in. It snaps in. So there's this little, you see the little C's right there? They look like they hold. We're going to place that, the two rods, we're going to place those inside the C's. And there's supposed to be a, before we do that, we have to place the spring in there. And see how the spring is in there? Okay. So the spring is on the inside. It rides in a little micro channel right here. See the little channel? Right here. It rides in that channel. So we're going to have to place it where it goes. Let me see how it goes. Okay, watch this. We're gonna place it in here, like so. It sits inside of its home. One side goes inside here. One side goes inside, and the other side just sits here. So we will install it just like that. Don't force it because it's got to be in its area. There it goes. Now once it's lined up, click it. Okay. All right, it seems to be holding. All right. So what we have to do now is we have to put the battery carrier in there, and then we have to put the battery and then reconnect this little guy and then snap it back together. So here we go. Line up this dowel with this hole and line up that dowel with that hole right there. Line it up, and then all you have to do is click it in place. And it is clicked. It is clicked in place for the most part. Now the easiest way to do the battery is, instead of clicking or putting the battery in and then trying to connect the wire, it's best to connect the wire first. So take a look at the orientation. See how the two holes are, I know it's hard to focus here, let's focus that. All right, so the two holes are up, and as you can see, the two metal pieces are on the outside. So we're gonna line up the white piece, just like so. Place it into the hole. It won't go in the other way either. So, connected it there. Then there's a little hook. You see that hook right there? That hook is where the wires need to go under. Make the wires go under. Well, one of them went. Let's get them both in there. All right, here we go. So the last thing we have to do, everything's in. Last thing we have to do is reconnect the blue cable to that white slot down there. Okay, see the metal traces? The metal traces have to go to the inboard side, the inside portion. So we have to place it carefully on here. Place it carefully. Now we don't want to make any mistakes with the buttons that we just fixed with the spring. So put that in there where it goes. Line it up and then use the blue piece to push it in. Be careful, very careful. All right, it goes in there. Same thing, it's got a black line on it, and that line is good. Okay, so as it goes in, we should be able to do it like this, see? We should be able to line these two up. It's gonna go on easier than it did come out. All right, these two are giving us some issue. So push that in, just like that, and it should snap together. It's all good. Now, last step is to replace all 4 screws here. And before you get up, make sure that all the pieces are put back. So all we have left is these 4 screws. I won't bore you by putting those on, but I will give you a trick. Here's a trick. When you put the screws in, I don't want you to just start screwing them in, because it's plastic and it'll make its own path through the plastic. So what you do is you line it up as good as you can. You go backwards until you hear a click where the threads line themselves up. Listen. Right there. And you don't force it. If it goes in easy, that means it's taken the path it took at the factory. So there you go. That's your repair for the controller of models CUH ZCT1U, as well as this one, which is the CUH ZCT2U. There's some slight differences in them, but more or less they're the same. Thanks for joining us on I Just Fix It Myself. Next time we'll probably be working on a car or something. All right, bye-bye.